Hello and welcome back. Guess I should close that. Okay. Page 24. I ended up looking through the entire catalog of this website. So this is where all these shallograms, mostly from the last video and this video, are from. I ended up looking through the entire catalog to try to find the one that looked like it had, we don't really need to open it, it's fine. That reminded me of I think this one. The one that reminded me of this one, because it's too conjoined. This one's clearly too conjoined because it actually enters into the space of one another where they actually overlap, like a Venn diagram overlapping kind of thing. Whereas this one that we're looking at is much more like a budding and possibly some overlap, but that's why I was bringing this up. Before we move on, 63 maybe? Yep, this one. So I ended up taking a bunch more pictures. I only had this one and I think this one that we were looking at. It's hard to tell what's happening, but they had a lot of pictures. So I took every picture I could. So we're going to real quickly just go through this. Not much distinguishable there as well. Here we can kind of see like the top. It looks like the top of this spiral's like shallogram structure is defined like right here and around here, where this thing like it's perfectly abutting. If it's not overlapping, it's perfectly abutting like this cracks boundary. Like what? So this is probably the best picture. Okay. I just wanted to update on that. Trying to think. Maybe I should go back through real quick. Just scroll through. I feel like there were things. Like this one. These things are going to be really important. This is not the one that I was thinking of exactly. One of the other ones I was looking at brought a thought to mind. This one, so I watched this last night somewhat. I agree with what I was saying. I was saying that it didn't have space to be above this, so it went sideways. And if you imagine that there's a spiral forming right above this, initially above it here, but then this lobe like pushes into the boundary and there's space over here, it tilts. But then it tilts in a way where then it puts down an arm that like protrudes out into the direction of this one, basically supporting itself, like it's falling to a side. So it puts out an arm that literally reaches down against the resistance and then stabilizes its like off-center fall to the side, and then it points generally to the pole while being in line with this one. That was just something I thought was worth noting when I looked at that. Maybe it was this one. I feel like there was another one that did that I was looking at. That more, I guess it was that one. I guess it was that one. But my thought is that from the center, there's a current flow that goes this way, and a current flow that goes this way. And they collide at the center, which then produces an offshoot this way. But then they also pass one another, so the one going this way passes, and then it collides again with the current going this way at a different, like, different breaking point, where they just, like, cause it to spike upward, up and out, similar to this, out. And then this current going up this way wraps around past that, and then it runs into the resistance here of it coming this way, producing these three shoots where that comes out from it, out of the resistance, but then this current generally going this way, like, encourages it that way, whereas this current going this way encourages it over here. So there's two flows overlapping is basically what I'm getting at. Like, that's a major aspect of what's happening here, I think. Although I thought it was just swirling more in like a figure eight, if you will. But also wrapping around in a, like this way, around. But like generally along this axis more in a figure eight way, but it looks like it literally goes out, collides, goes out, collides, goes out, collides, and produces those things. Whereas here, they're at different stability points, like 1/3, I guess, some reason, instead of at the halfway point. The halfway point seems like it would make sense. Okay, I don't want to get too caught up on the ones I talked about yesterday. Let's get moving. Boom, new one. I think we've talked about this one. I think I have pictures of this, but just in case, I didn't bother to look. Very squiggly, liney. I guess that squiggly line wraps around there. Yeah, it goes up the rock. So this face is down here. Looks like we can see a little connection, like right there, especially, and right there, that like connected it. I'm not sure why it didn't complete the connection. Maybe it was wrapping in both directions. Similarly, maybe. Oh yeah, that reminds me. That does remind me. Wrapping in both directions. Again, there's another one. I think it was this one. It must have been this one. That made me think that, like right here, we have this indentation here that goes to here. That strongly suggests whatever's going this way went up in here and tried to go up through here, but it just couldn't make it. And then like kept doing that kind of thing, maybe here as well, and then down here, and like literally came around. So it's coming around here, but there's a current going this way, so there's two currents. Current going this way, current coming this way, and when this current comes over, it goes atop this one, pushing it down here. It's flowing this way, pushes it down as it goes atop it, and then the one going atop it pushes into this spot. And then they interact and create the teeth. I think it's integral to the process. There's another at the little extension point, like going out there a little bit. I'm not sure why exactly it would do that. I'd have to really Maybe it does it when it becomes unstable. Like it's sometimes more in a figure eight, but then it can destabilize and start to collide. This one I found interesting because it looks kind of like Antarctica. Just a thought, maybe something of the process is in there. Straight line across here, which I guess is related to there or there, maybe? It's hard to say from this face. I don't even see it. I really don't see it. Unless it's a different side. Oh, okay, it's not the same side. So this is another pole, perhaps, that has this fracture going seemingly to the other pole. This one, I didn't know what to make of it. It's pretty incredible. Indentations in the rock that may or may not have counterparts. I mean, they must. But in a way where the current got between the rocks so much so that it did this. But it looks like there's current going up this way because of this like slope thing where it looks like it ramps out of the rock at that point. As it runs into, it goes this way here, up this way, and then this way over here. So it runs into a resistance here between these sideways currents. There's this up path where the ammonites are here, and this one looks like these are even kind of related, where this is going this way and that's where these are, although this is going sideways. This one I just thought was an interesting rock. Another face of it, little tiny shallogram here. Or opening. I keep calling these shallograms when the whole rock is a shallogram. I need to like figure out the terminology. The openings with chakras. This might have some chakras. Something going on there. Something going on there. This one was just more interesting than anything. I don't know if the pictures... I think that's where that fracture was there. Which then wraps around the other side and goes that way. At that angle, which is parallel to that. I'm not sure why I would do that. Also, the way these are, they look kind of like they're spiraling this way in. And then in. So it's suggestive of a this way current rather than a this way current. Unless it's spiraling out, I guess. Like maybe the face atop this of another rock that has the other side of the ammonite structure was more of the inlet, and this rock was more of the outlet as a whole, and so it flowed in the other side and then out here through the chakras into this rock itself, ballooning the rock itself, but also flowing into the chakras and then coming out of the chakras this way and out of the chakra this way, and just growing like that, and therefore then the current is going this way between them, because the spirals are one as they approach each other. So they're like, that's probably closely related to what's going on with the straight lines here in this structure. This one, I guess, spirals this way. Largest here. So if this spirals out this way, then it goes down. If this spirals out this way, then it goes up. So these are kind of in resistance to one another. But it's off in the very corner. Maybe that's why it's in the very corner. Like, it can't get any further away. These ones also, this one's probably like the dominant one, occupying this whole region of the rock, and then this one forming adjacent with this one like squeezed in a corner. I hate not sneezing. It's one of the worst feelings. I'm sure there's worse feelings. I know. It looks like this actually goes over here. Like, there's a relationship even here to this. So that fracture goes over, around. Like this way, around. Possibly like the presence of the fracture seems to fade here at this chakra point. Like around here. Like there's a relationship maybe. This thing comes right in there. That's interesting. Okay, let's move on from this one. Another one that just has the... I like these because they have the repeating structures of these sprays, like outward. Like... It's kind of tricky. There was reminiscent of this one. This one's so cool because it's got the little one too, off center. So that's that one. That's another face of that one. And then I moved on because it wasn't much more to go by. I'm sure there's more, but it's hard to say. Also, this here, the pictures didn't always show this little wiggle in it, but I think like it's relevant. It made me think of the bouncing currents within a chamber, like a space that it's opening that's bouncing back and forth, providing a space for current to flow. Another one where that's tapping into the terminal and wrapping around. Coming out this side. In this side. In here. Out here. And then like flowing generally enough where it then re-merges over here. Like some of it goes this way and then around. Or essentially to here, back to the terminal, where then it enters into the center and can be pushed out into the ammonite structure as it opens the space of the structure, or through to create this cycle. This one's a little less apparent than the others I saw in the last video in that regard. These dendrites are really weird. They're not structured. They're just kind of wiggly. More like over here. This is more normal. This is kind of like, whoa, just an array. I don't know how we concluded these were actual fossils. It's just the arrogance and ignorance of like starting from true scratch and being like, nothing you guys say is valid. We're gonna start anew. That's what happens. Like like religions and things, basically science has denied anything that science hasn't come up with itself, and so these are fossils, even though science itself demonstrates they're not fossils. Like physics demonstrates they're not fossils. Also, I noticed this little squiggle with the node there made me think of like a simple galaxy drawing with something like that, or a simple hurricane or something. Another angle. Another one. It's kind of, this one exemplifies the pole to pole process of it, where it goes in here through a structure that starts to spiral as an ammonite, and then through it out the other side and around, feeding this system. Another one, maybe this one's hard to tell because it's broken in pieces. Although maybe it shows a good cross section of how the exchange went between sides. Like through there. Anomaly. I don't know what to make of this. There's two terminals maybe that were forming on the rock itself. This one reminded me a lot of the shoe. Let's find the shoe. What do you mean the shoe? I mean the shoe. The elf shoe. The shoe. Bless you. The shoe. The Danish shoe, maybe. Certainly not identical, but very reminiscent. Especially from that angle. You can see these here. Move me. I'll just be like that. Hello. I guess I could have done that too. Okay. Point being, it reminds me of this one. Let's get the bottom of it, see if it has this. So they both even have this weird structure. This one way more filled with the what I might say is an abrasive. That's kind of what I'm thinking. This stuff is like an abrasive in the current flow that actually degrades the structure of the rock better. Is able to actually take it apart more and etch into it. Oh, actually, that's a different rock. Pardon me. This is a different rock. Not this rock. Pardon me, pardon me. I guess. It doesn't have the same thing then. Although this has the same thing and above it, but this doesn't really have those unless maybe that's revealing that it did once have something of that nature, although it's really not visible whatsoever. I don't know what to make of this little thing. This one I thought interesting because it's kind of like a snake. Or keep running into that kind of thing. So it's got a node, maybe a mound, positive, negative, like a lac here because it's been etched into, and then a mound here because it's been compressed, I guess. Current went around it. Little nostril. Maybe a tooth, I don't know. Like a fang. But then the current goes around over here. So it goes this way around. Notice this is more towards this side. So this is more towards this side than this side. So this is the front. So the back side of this like snakehead thing has the teeth going along it this way and then connects back over here. So it just wraps around the rock. Connects back, cuts in teeth at this stretch, but then it connects back. Possibly because it's just getting into the stone and relieving pressure. So it just doesn't have as much current over here. Then it picks up more current over here, probably because it's literally passing through the stone. And then it goes over this way, where then it contributes to the etching and wobbling. I know this one really was like something interesting relating to these. So here's 3 little notches. Notice here's a void. Here's a mass. So we've got a void and a mass, which is reminiscent of a proton neutron in my periodic table of currents topics that I discuss other places. Brought to mind that, especially when we get to this picture. This little crack here is like straight up pointing like right down the middle of the rock. So if we go back here, that seems to be this right here. Is right down the middle of the rock where it has a mass and a void segment. So it's like splitting the halves. It didn't do it, but it's like doing it, or was doing it. And that current goes across there. I'm not sure what to make of anything else of it. I just thought that was especially interesting that it had the actual mass and the void. The place where current can flow and the place where current basically can't flow because it's getting filled with material. Although it seems like it does exchange through it. Through the chakras. This one was interesting because this feature, just like and holograms opening structure, comes to a little point and goes that way. That's interesting. It's almost like current goes this way, cross, And then another in the spiral itself manages to get up here. Maybe ramps up that way. Cross that way, but can ramp up and get into this way. Remerging in a straight line over there. These definitely are anomalously part of this. Another part of this rock, this one I thought was really interesting because they connect. This feature connects to this feature, which connects to this feature, which this feature connects to that feature. It's an interconnected web of structures. That doesn't make sense unless the structures are forming by a current that then escapes this way, goes over here, interacts with other currents where it does stuff here, it goes over here, interacts with some other current maybe, or just gets as far as it can and runs into resistance and puddles. Over here, interacts with this region where another ammonite spiral type structure seems to have been happening. This one, but this time off of these points. Oddly, there's nothing apparent over here, almost like it can't get through this region as well, and is just running into resistance that's filled up with the masses of this stuff and branching off instead at these poles of this, like poles of this circle or of this segment rather than this way. And then goes up and over to that one, which connected to that one. I believe that was one like this right here, maybe. That connects to that. Unclear. But then again, it's happening at this point. Over here, going down to this one. Where structure's forming. Which is connecting over to this structure. Connecting over to this structure. This thing's just so interconnected. It's another proof that these are formed by currents because this doesn't make any sense for fossils. Like, oh, there's a fossil here, and there's some trace fossil here, and they're connected by some other fossil that felt like it just chose to do this. This creature in the rock chose to create these channels at specific locations. It's like, I like that spot, right at the pole there, yeah. What do you mean pole? Well, I know because I'm a creature on the surface just creating paths arbitrarily as I eat. I like to go to the places where energy is. Where it's flowing, bruh. It doesn't really make any sense. Some more angles of it, just branching off structures, interconnected. This going over here, it looks like maybe there's a current going this way. That branches off that way. This branches off this way, connects with that again. Like they connect over here, and then they connect over here, go that way. Maybe goes over this way and continues over into this one and does it again here. It looks like a chakra's even forming there. More just interconnectedness. This one we can kind of see this going up here at a straight angle off that point. And then going out over here at like the third marker. So it has the quarter and the third, but it also has this larger structure here that like goes up this way. Suggestive that something was generally able to go from this side and around and up this way. Like pressure was just causing an upwelling from this spot, and it then branched out and caused like overall pressure here, Branching out this way and this way, though. And a little subtlety in the rock there. Opposite side is very snake-like. Now, this time, though, the mouth is open. So if we go back here, there's this thing, and then imagine the currents are wrapping around, going in here, possibly also out, swirling. This points to a current going this way because of that. But I would say that there's also an outlet. So it makes me think of, like, if we could say Earth. Clean. Anywhere we see, like, a snake, like here, this snake body that goes down to have an eyeball, a flathead reservation, and then snakehead type feature. It makes me feel like there's the potential of this kind of structure happening. Where would that be? This chakra is relatively between this far point and this far point, a little bit more at this angle though. So between these points, but a little bit more at this angle. Did I do that right? Yeah, this is like right here to well, I guess it's pretty close. Point, pole to pole. Of the rock. Where this is like maybe an equator equivalent. So pole to pole. Chakras are maybe around here then. Right where the mouth is opening. So maybe over here at like this spot is a chakra that has like a structure. And just underneath something, like not inherently. I guess the other one we saw was closed and it didn't really show the features. I just wonder if there's like a... I guess it's possible that there's some kind of chakras here that then go like that. I don't know if that's the exact location. I don't think it even is. I think it's more in line here. I don't don't see any, like, absolute shallogram stuff maybe there. Just a thought. I gotta eat, fuck. 40 minutes, okay. I might just stop after this one. I'll stop after this one, because I definitely have more than I had yesterday. I need to take some more pictures. But this one's incredible. Like, it's a triangle, generally speaking. But with the folds in, especially these two sides. This face is clean. This face is covered, even has a seashell. Just covered in those little ridges, like that shoe one had. And then an ammonite structure there. Bunch of ammonite structures here. I don't know what to make of this one. Let's see. This one. Let's go back to this picture. Maybe it's just making me think like maybe it's bubbling here or here, maybe from this tap in over to this side, although this goes pretty much to the center. It's really, this one's just mind-boggling. I don't know what to make of it. Bunch of features that are abnormal. Alright, I'll be back. See you guys next time.